Hello everybody. Today I'm gonna presenting my literacy lesson, teaching my Year 2 student about emotive vocabularies. So the book I choose for my students is called The Boy with Big Big Feelings, written by Brittany Winley. And as you can tell from the name of the book, I'm gonna teach my students about um, emotive vocabularies. And the lesson intention is to use the surrounding text clues to work out the emotions of the character. And the success criteria in this lesson is to for my students to write sentence using the words describing emotions in order to tell a story about himself or tell a story from their own experience. At the beginning of the lesson, I will start reading outline the clause. For example, sometimes when his play has to come to an end, or when things didn't go as he planned, the feeling would run down the length of his arms and clench when they got to his hands. By reading aloud in the class, I want my students to focus on the clues provided, such as the writing, the images, and how his action expression really tell you about his feelings, what he's feeling right now, and that is when my students make interpretation out of the text. So my students then will work in a group in order to analyze the character's feelings and find the words that best describe his feeling and share it with the class. And I want my students to analyze and ask themselves questions. How would they feel if they were the character? And how would they use their own experience in order to interpret his feelings? Students are expected to write a story about their own experience, having a specific emotion or a strong emotion that they have, and it is recommended that they use the key vocabularies they have learned. And then after that, they can share the story with the whole class. I have linked my lesson to two English subjects for level 2 and one non-English subject. So these are the literacy practices I have used in my lesson. For the four resources model, I would like my students to take the role of text participant. What is it? It is a focus on how readers make meaning from what they have been read, and they use their own knowledge and their own experience in order to make sense of it and in order to compare with what the experiences in the text. For example, my students will use the experiences they have learned they have before, what feeling they have before, what they have been through before, and use that in order to make the interpretation on what the boy is feeling. And literature discussion and storytelling are the ways I use to assess my students. Um, so my students use their own knowledge, their own experiences in order to make sense of the text, make sense of what the boy is feeling. For example, I use the funds of knowledge, which is the knowledge, the resources, competencies that families and community members have, and how people come to have this knowledge through life experiences. They use the fund of knowledge in order to make sense of what the boy is feeling, what the boy's emotion. In the same way, transactional theory is how is the negotiation between the text and the reader, and how the reader is um, draw their own experiences and knowledge in order to make sense of what the author is trying to tell them. And with the reader response model, it is how it is how students construct the meaning out of the text by linking with the ideas and link with the word outside of them. Making prediction and inferences is um, as students combine information presented in the text with their own background experiences, they create connections that go beyond the author's exact words and images. I choose the inquiry theory in order to help my students learning this lesson. It is because school should represent one's real life, and this is real life is when students learn about all the emotions, they learn about the words describe it. So in real life, there's a lot of people feeling sadness, feeling blue, feeling happiness. They know how to use what they have learned in order to make interpretation out the world around them. And the goal of education should be to cultivate the productive differences. Earlier declaration. Literacy is the powerful, wide-ranging life skill beyond traditional notions of talking, listening, reading, and writing. My students from the lesson, they can learn interpretation skills out of other people's expression, and they can develop empathy for others. Meaning making is at the heart of all literacy practices. It's also true because my students use their own experiences in order to make sense of what the boy is feeling. I choose Hamilton and Barton's principle, which is use the background knowledge and cultural understandings to make sense of text. In this case, my students use their own experiences in order to make sense of what the boy's emotions are. And for Ferry and Macedo, um, there is a set of practices that functions either to empower or disempower people, and it means that literacy is everywhere and it is very powerful. It can affect everybody's life and the community. These are my references, and thank you for listening.